Hi, I'm Jay Chen. I'm a Lieutenant Commander in the Navy Reserves, a community college trustee with Mount San Antonio College, and the son of Taiwanese immigrants, and I'm running for Congress in California's 45th Congressional District, and it's a pleasure to be here with the Fullerton Observer. Well, this is a very important election, and I hope everybody casts their ballot despite the fact it's a midterm election. And the reason why you should vote for me is because of my background. I am a military member. I've served in the campaign to defeat ISIS. I've been a officer in the Navy for the last 12 years. I also value higher education. I've served as a school board member and as a community college trustee. And I also have my own small business. And I have operated a business with my wife for the last 20 years. But beyond that, we need representatives who are actually going to fight for the people and not just for the special interests that fund their campaigns. I'm committed to fighting for the residents of Fullerton and the broader CA 45 district, and to bring home the dollars, the tax dollars that we have all paid for. We need to make sure that we're bringing those tax dollars back home to this district. But we have a lot on the line. Democracy's on the line. We saw the January 6th insurrection. We saw all these folks who refused to uphold the will of the people and even tried to overturn the election. And unfortunately, we still have members of Congress who are trying to perpetuate that big lie. So if you want to protect democracy, if you want to protect your rights, this is a race that you cannot sit out. And that's why you have to maintain you have to vote for me and also ensure that Democrats control the House instead of Republicans who have been part of the election denying crowd. So one of my top priorities will be to protect the right of women to make their own healthcare decisions. I was very disappointed that Congresswoman Michelle Steele voted or co-sponsored a bill to enact a federal ban on abortion without any exceptions for rape, incest, or for the health of the mother. This is appalling to me, the fact that the Supreme Court has overruled Roe v. Wade and that Michelle Steele wants to take that a step further and enact this federal ban. It is anathema to me that little girls today have less rights than what their grandmothers grew up with 50 years ago. So I want to protect Roe v. Wade. And we also know that the right to gay marriage, the right to interracial marriage, all of these rights are also on the chopping block. The Supreme Court has said that. So making sure that our rights are protected is paramount. Number two, I want to make sure that we are addressing inflation. Inflation has impacted all of us. The cost of goods has risen, and this has to do with the fact that after the pandemic, the demand has risen, but supply has not caught up. So fixing our supply chains, making sure that we're bringing domestic manufacturing back to the United States, and also holding those price gouging companies accountable. Representative Steele has had a chance to vote to reduce the cost of gasoline and to reduce the price of prescription drugs, and she voted no on all of them, and it has a lot to do with her campaign contributions from oil companies and from pharmaceutical companies. I will always fight for the people and not for these big special interests. And finally, gun violence is an important issue that we have to address. I am a sharpshooter with an M4 assault weapon. I know how to use these weapons of war, and I know they have no business being out on our streets. And unfortunately, Michelle Steele also voted against bipartisan gun safety legislation, some of the most comprehensive that we've had in decades. I will always fight to ensure that we keep our kids safe, that we pass universal background checks, and that we keep guns out of the hands of those who should not be having them. Yeah, I think it is really sad that instead of touting her accomplishments, Michelle Steele has been spreading these vicious lies and smears, targeting not just me, but the entire veteran population. I've proudly served my country in uniform for the last 12 years. I hold a top secret security clearance, and I've served in the Middle East and on the Korean Peninsula. I will hold my record of service up to hers any day of the week, and unfortunately, Michelle Steele is not here to answer for her ludicrous attacks. But this is an attack not just on me, but on anyone who has put on the uniform, and it's appalling that a member of Congress would stoop this low. My parents are from Taiwan. My grandmother fled communist China during the Civil War, and so nobody understands the threat of China more than I do. I'm also a part of 7th Fleet, which is tasked with monitoring the South China Sea and ensuring freedom of navigation. Now, the reason why Michelle Steele is stooping this low is because two reasons. Number one, her own sordid history with communism. Her husband, Sean Steele, was outed by the Wall Street Journal for trying to bring Communist Chinese Party officials to Republican strategy meetings to meet with Donald Trump and to dissuade Trump from getting involved in the South China Sea. And she's also given a certificate to the Vietnamese Communist government. So she's trying to overcorrect here. But the other reason why she's doing this is because she's trying to distract from her own record. Her record of supporting a federal ban on abortion without exceptions, her record of voting against common sense gun violence solutions, and her record of voting against bills that would bring down the price of everyday goods. She doesn't want to talk about these issues, so she wants to try to distract. But the people of this congressional district understand what's at stake. It's not about this non-existent communist threat that she's trying to ginny up. It's about what do we do to bring down the cost of goods, protect our rights, and also make sure that we are safe. I'm going to be the candidate that fights for all of those values. Thank you.